on behalf of endowment. And
Are you ready to start?
yes,
All right.
sorry.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m., September 11th. Are we on? Okay, yeah. And good evening, greeting City of Lawrence. We are here at the Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting, City Commission Room, and I will start off with a roll call. In no particular order, say if you're here by saying aye. Mark Bueller.
Aye.
Andrew Gallagher, is not here. Mariel Fierro.
Here.
Christina Gentry, I'm here. Elizabeth O'Neill is not here. Donovan Dillon.
Here.
Hi, Donovan. Monty Sokup.
Here.
And Leah Roslin. Yeah. Thank you all. We're going to, and we are at a quorum, so we will go forward. We will go on to receive the public comment guidelines by Leah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Please silence your cell phones to minimize distractions during the meeting. When the chair calls for public comment, please approach the podium to indicate you wish to speak. Please state your name before speaking. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Virtual participants should use the raise hand function to indicate they wish to speak. Once your name is called, you will be unmuted and may turn on your camera to provide your comments. The city reserves the right to turn off or mute participants. The primary format for accessing or participating in this meeting is in person at City Hall. Virtual access to view or participate in the meeting cannot be guaranteed. The chat function will not be monitored. If you have any trouble, the meeting can be viewed on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah. On to the next agenda item, which is item B, approve minutes. We'll consider approval of the meeting minutes from May. That's a long time ago, but in May meetings, we will, and I will open it up to approve the minutes for May 8th, 2025 minutes. Anyone with the motion?
I move to approve the May 8th, 2025 minutes.
Thank you, Mariel. I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second that, Monty Soko.
Thank you, Monty. First and seconded by Monty and Mariel. I'm going to go through the list here and call out order, and yay or nay. Mark Bueller.
Yay.
Okay, Andrew Gallagher is not here. Mariel Fierro.
Yay.
I approve. Elizabeth is not here. Donovan Dillon.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so that is, Monty Sokup.
Yes.
Thank you, Monty. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 approvals. Thank you all. Okay, and moving on, we will go to the agenda item C, which is to, 1, receive updates on Affordable Housing Advisory Board members.
So, quick update that unfortunately Andrew has had to resign from the AHAB. So that is why he is not with us this evening. The City Commission has been notified, and hopefully we'll get the seat filled soon. But we will be down to a 6-member board until that seat is filled.
Yeah, thank you for that update. And stressing the quorum, especially the participation for all of the board members, is like emphasized, especially if we come across some really important dates. Thursday, November 13th being one of them. There's a couple of trainings and some presentations. So yeah, having us show up is important. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Did he give a reason?
He just said that there have been personal things that have come up that are taking his time. Yeah. Yeah, nothing about the work of the board, and he sends his regrets. Yeah, yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, I'll miss him a lot. Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Next, we will, under item C, staff updates, receive a demonstration on the new affordable housing dashboard to track progress on affordable housing goals.
So I'm going to show it on this screen here, and it looks kind of funky. Let's see if that's better. Share screen. Okay. So wanted to make sure that the board was aware of the new dashboard and how to use the dashboard, as it'll, I think, be an important tool as we move forward with future goal setting and in the application review and prioritization process for the trust fund this year. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate the different features. So there are 3 tabs at the top, as you can see. This is the stabilization projects tab. Sorry. Here you can see the different funding sources. So the housing stabilization is essentially everything that's not new development or rehab. The funding sources you can see are broken down here, and then you can click on this little tab at the bottom to see a further breakdown of where the funding sources. So it's not just showing Affordable Housing Trust Fund projects, it's showing projects that the city has supported through all of these different funding sources. Here you can see the total number of households that have been served through the funding sources, or total through the different housing stabilization programs. And then here you can hover over and again see the total numbers for each. So I think that this is really nice because it makes very clear where we are making progress and where we are not. Short-term rental assistance, which isn't one of the AHAB's priority goals. Over 3,000 community members have been assisted through short-term rental and utility assistance, which is great. But then if you go over here and see accessibility modifications, which is one of our primary goals, 87 households have been served. So again, just a really clear way of demonstrating where we have made progress, where we have not, and the work that we need to do. Here, the filter by year tab, you can, right now it's showing all years, but you can click on the year that you want to see the specific numbers for that year. The new development projects shows projects funded through new affordable housing development. So again, I really like just the clear totals that the dashboard is showing now, just make it very easily readable and understandable. So you can see the total units funded. There's been some misunderstanding or miscommunication in the past around funded versus completed. So that's very deliberate, funded, but then if you go to project status, you can see again how many are in process, complete, and pre-development and under construction by hovering over.
Are those for the total of the 1,100?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the...
Yeah. So all of those add up to that. You can see the total number of ADA, senior, and family units, and then if you hover over this I, then you can see how we're defining those. Here you can see the total units by area median income. So again, making really clear where the progress has been versus where we have some work to do. Period of affordability, again, we made great progress on 30-year affordable projects. Have some work to do on the longer term affordability. Again, the funding source breakdown. And this I think is really nice. The unit count by housing type. So again, you can click on this and see, so multifamily, duplex or townhome, single family, rental, ownership, and transitional, and the total number of units added by year. The map is deliberately high level. We did not include addresses for confidentiality, but I think it'll become more useful over time. Already it shows, so the darker the area, the neighborhood is highlighted, the more affordable housing, right, that have been developed in that. So this is the Brook Creek neighborhood. A lot of affordable housing developments have gone over in that neighborhood, but then you can see areas of town where no affordable housing developments have happened. So again, just...
Anything in North Lawrence?
I know that there have been, yeah, so, where we, yeah.
But north of the river, that's what I'm...
No, it shows it right there. You're in north. Mm-hmm. You're south of I-70.
Yeah.
That's the river, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we tried to strike a balance between confidentiality and, still making a useful map where you could see where developments have taken place. And I think shows where we need to make progress. So I hope that you all will utilize this tool, and I hope that it's useful. Really want to thank Amy Roust with City GIS for working with me on this project. She was an amazing collaborator. So happy to take any questions or comments.
The data is just from when AHAB started to this point.
It begins in 2015, but the AHAB data doesn't start until, 2017.
Is that AHAB's first year?
Yeah,
First year we had funding.
funding, yeah.
Comments? I really appreciate this breakdown. I like specifically the funding source breakdown, because it just shows in such a great way how public funding is critical for making affordable housing happen. It further stresses that money be spent to effectively address community needs. And so as we think about like where the home buyer assistance program addressing the crises for affordable housing, and how we have the short-term rental and where we need to do some work.
Yeah.
So I love this. Thanks.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you. All right.
Okay. All right, any additional comments? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you again, Leah,
Yeah.
for providing that demonstration. On to our agenda, we've got under staff updates, receive staff updates on changes in Kansas affordable housing tax credits.
So just wanted to make sure that you are all aware of the changes that have already begun taking place with the Kansas low-income housing tax credit, and will continue to take place until ultimately it is sunsetted in 2028. There's an elimination of the 4% match. Project applications after up to November will be the last 4% projects that LIHTC projects. Correct. Yeah. So that is being eliminated rather quickly. And then the program, as I said, will be sunsetted in 2028. There's already been a reduction in the annual amount. So there's a 8.8 million cap for the 9% projects for the next 2 years. And that represents a substantial change from a high of 25 million in the last year to 8.8 million. So that's going to have a substantial impact on affordable housing development in Kansas.
Am I correct, and that equates to 1 or 2 projects a year being awarded by the state?
For
For the 9, I mean, an $8
For-
million are
probably.
typically $4 to
Right.
$10 million awards.
Yeah, yeah,
Say we'll see maybe 2
throughout the
the
state.
entire state.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, I know. Yeah, and we've had a LIHTC project every year the last
Except
5.
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first year we haven't had one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We have one, review and discuss proposed affordable housing incentive policy. The action will be to review and discuss proposed affordable housing incentive policy, and then consider a recommendation to the governing body to approve the policy. But right now, we'll receive that and discuss after that.
Okay, thank you, Christina. So I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot in this meeting. Forward to the board's comments and feedback. All right, so I will try and keep the presentation brief while covering a rather comprehensive policy. So want to provide an update that originally the City Commission was going to have a work session to first see the policy and provide feedback at their meeting next week on September 16th. That has been postponed to November 11th. So that will give the AHAB some additional time to discuss and perhaps provide feedback and recommendations that you all want to go to the City Commission before that work session on the 11th. So the goal, tonight I will cover. I'm sorry, Donovan. Thank you for letting us know. I hope that it improves. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that there's anything we can do about it. Right, Kurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
You think with no one in the building with us, it would work well?
Yeah.
So much.
Okay, so the background for this policy goes back to June of 2022, where during a strong welcoming neighborhood strategic plan city update to the commission, I provided a set of policy recommendations to advance affordable housing goals. Incentives that I recommended included tax abatements, fee waivers, public land donations, and revolving loan funds. The commissioners universally supported that recommendation of incentivizing affordable housing development as a key strategy. These strategies were then integrated into the A Place for Everyone plan adopted by the city and county in 2024. Extensive community engagement was done prior to finalizing and adopting that plan. Further community engagement was conducted on the proposed incentive policy to allow developers, stakeholders, and interested community members, and now the AHAB, to provide feedback on the draft policy. Policy goals include focusing incentives on housing that creates mixed income communities and on the types of housing that are least available and most needed in our community, especially for very low and low income households, families with children, people with disabilities, and seniors. Additional goals are for the incentives to be tied to strong accountability measures and meaningful affordability commitments. The policy is designed with the overarching goal of ensuring that public investments have the greatest possible impact for the community and serve the highest public good. Additional goals are to provide transparency, clarity, and fairness for the applicants and the community. We leveraged a toolkit of incentives to bridge financial gaps and encourage development that meet affordability goals. These incentives include those shown on the slide, which I'll go into more detail about each. So the first set are tax incentives, including RID. Sorry, the slide is a little bit funky. IRBs and NRAs. To briefly describe, some tools like IRBs and NRAs have already been provided by the city under the current economic development policy, but moving forward, affordable housing projects requesting these incentives would need to meet criteria outlined and apply under this policy as opposed to economic development. The RID would be a new tool for Lawrence, but is an essential tool that's already used throughout Kansas communities. To briefly describe each of these incentives, a RID captures future property tax revenue from new housing development. The revenue reimburses costs for infrastructure like streets and sewers and sometimes housing construction. So it uses future tax growth from new housing to pay for infrastructure. IRBs provide both sales tax exemptions on construction materials and property tax abatements, which reduces the overall project costs, improving feasibility on affordable housing. NRAs are designated areas where a developer can receive a property tax rebate on the increased property taxes after making improvements to that area. So it incentivizes reinvestment by lowering the effective cost of renovation or new construction. Affordable Housing Trust Funds is a tool you all are very familiar with. So currently the trust fund is provided as a grant across the board, regardless of the period or depth of affordability. A recommended change for the trust funds is an additional option of a low interest loan program. Under the proposed policy, projects with guaranteed affordability of 99 years would be eligible for the grants. Projects with lower periods of affordability would be eligible for low interest loans, which is a standard practice among communities with local trust funds. Many trust funds across the country are provided as loans, particularly for-profit developers who would walk away with the community subsidy when converting the units from affordable to market rate. So this is a way of meeting our commitment to sound fiscal stewardship. I also wanted to mention that this is still, sorry, I've lost my place. I'm so sorry. The providing loans still incentivizes the affordable housing development by providing the gap financing needed to the developer, but serves a greater community need by a greater community good. in a couple ways. It continues to generate revenue for the fund, which can then be reinvested back into the community without continually relying on new tax revenues from the community. It also incentivizes projects extending their periods of affordability, which we have seen developers being willing to do when we negotiate for better terms for the community. So I really look forward to the AHAB's discussion on this at the end of the presentation. Additional city incentives include public land donations and fee waivers. Through this policy, a process for requesting municipal land donations and fee waivers would be formalized and streamlined. Both of these incentives come with requirements of 99 years of affordability as proposed. I want to note two important points regarding fee waivers. One, system development charges are the most requested and needed for affordable housing development, but these legally cannot be waived by the city. They can be offered, but the city no longer has general funds going towards affordable housing. The only source of funding to support fee waivers would be to pay for them out of trust funds. There's also been a discussion that planning and development fee waivers would also need to be paid out of trust funds, although at this time that's an ongoing discussion. With the city deficit and no additional budget for affordable housing to support these incentives, trust funds would be spread further. This illustrates the utmost importance of the work of the AHAB to identify and propose additional revenue for affordable housing to the City Commission. So moving on to eligibility criteria. In order to be eligible for any of the incentives, the projects must meet minimum affordability percentages. The income mix enables developers to include up to 10% of the units for households of up to 120% AMI, which helps with project financing and provides some much needed workforce housing. However, projects must include up to 40% of units to households at 50% AMI or below, ensuring units are also being developed for those most in need. Additionally, at least 65 of the units must include at least 3 or more bedrooms, be fully ADA accessible, be income targeted at households at 30% AMI or below, or any combination of those 3. I want to point out that the unintended consequence of this matrix is that it really only works for larger scale developments, which are most often multifamily rentals. I certainly don't want to take away or support taking away trust funds, land donations, and fee waivers for home ownership units or smaller single family houses, lower density multifamily units, or smaller scale developments. I would advise that the AHAB consider and offer recommendations for revising this policy to include standards for those types of developments to be provided to the City Commission when they see the policy at their November work session.
So are we going to comment on this after or during?
Do you mind holding comments until after? Okay. In terms of eligibility criteria for periods of affordability, so as I mentioned, what is being proposed in the policy is to have a 50-year minimum period of affordability for any affordable housing incentives, including any one of the tax incentives or a trust fund loan, and a 99-year period, which by the state of Kansas is how the state of that's the best we can do in terms of perpetuity, is 99 years. That would be the requirement for fee waivers, public land donations, any packaging of the tax incentives, or to receive a grant. Again, the goal is to ensure in long-term community benefit and protect public investment by incentivizing extended affordability periods. I recognize this would be a significant change, as currently all affordable housing incentives provided by the city only require a 30-year minimum period of affordability. We've agreed to the standard because we've aligned with state and federal LIHTC affordability period requirements. Even though this is not in alignment with AHAB goals, a place for everyone goals, and the advice and urging of local affordable housing leaders, community coalitions representing the people of Lawrence. It's important to note that LIHTC is the floor, not the ceiling. Although federal LIHTC rules only require 30 years, many local governments go further to protect their public investments in affordable housing stock. Local standards can, and my recommendation should exceed the federal minimum when public resources are involved. And I'm going to give some examples, not an exhaustive list, of local municipalities that require 99 years of affordability when using local subsidy. Chicago, Chapel Hill, Boulder and Denver, San Francisco, and many California municipalities, Seattle, Portland, Gainesville, Florida, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Ithaca, New York, Santa Fe, and many more. In fact, the entire state of Vermont, where the Community Land Trust originates, requires permanent affordability. Research has been conducted to evaluate the impact of affordable housing development before and after that state adopted this requirement, and showed that there has been zero reduction in the number of applicants or affordable housing development since that requirement. Multiple dozen more local municipalities and states require a 50-year period of affordability, which is where I got the 50-year benchmark. And I would suggest that our local policy is actually behind. Like these other communities, Lawrence has an opportunity to reflect the unique values of our community, even if it differs from the norm set by our state and federal governments. I really look forward to the AHAB's discussion on the period of affordability at the conclusion of this presentation. Our accessibility standards ensure that publicly subsidized housing is usable and welcoming to all, so that homes may be used by a wide range of occupants, including all ages and physical abilities, to best meet the needs of Lawrence residents and to facilitate the development of housing that is visitable, usable, and safe for occupancy by persons with disabilities and that support aging in place. The policy requires all new units constructed with public subsidy to include universal design requirements. This again has been adopted by many local municipalities, and the work group that worked on the universal requirements outlined in Appendices C used St. Louis as the primary model. Aligning with HUD's standards, 5% of the units must be fully ADA accessible for mobility disabilities, 2% for hearing or visual disabilities, and fully ADA accessible in all public areas. Additional criteria, I'm just going to do a very high-level overview in the interest of time. So there's policy and criteria regarding rent and mortgage rates that can be set to ensure affordability, criteria around locations. So specific location criteria includes proximity to amenities and green space and out of proximity of hazardous locations such as industrial waste, floodplains, and protected areas such as wetlands. There's policy outlining fair housing, lease and termination standards, requirements, including adherence to just cause eviction policies and prohibition against rent increases inconsistent with rent restrictions. There are specific design standards included in Appendices B, which has been adopted from Kansas LIHTC standards. There's ownership and transfer standards to make sure that ownership stays under affordability, and then applicant requirements similar to we have now to ensure that the applicants have the capacity to carry the projects forward. The policy additionally outlines clear procedural guidelines so that the process from application to award is transparent and accessible. I'm not going to go in detail about the procedural guidelines, but that's linked in the agenda for you to review. As I mentioned, we've done some community feedback and gotten some great recommendations. Based on the feedback I've received, I propose making the following changes to the final draft. Many of the changes are technical in nature and involved addressing or clearing up inconsistencies and providing more clear language for certain areas. Additional changes I'd like to make involve explicitly including broader eligibility criteria to ensure that the policy is not prohibitive towards tenant purchase of housing converted to home ownership, ensuring preservation and adaptive reuse is incentivized, and that smaller scale projects are eligible for incentives. If approved by the commission, the policy would have an impact on affordable housing trust funds. For development and rehab projects, the policy would set the records for receiving trust fund loans and grants. Handle that, considering that could potential funds for development and having less funds available for other programs. With the work session item for the incentive policy being pushed to November, I anticipate that the policy won't be adopted until late in the winter of 2026. And the AHAB can use that time to discuss the following, which I recommend that the AHAB discuss and come to agreement on over the next few months. The first few months of the year, with decisions made by March of 2026 and time to inform the 2027 NOFO and policy implementation. So these are future discussion items for the AHAB. Right now, I have a few items that would be helpful for the AHAB to discuss and hopefully come to agreement on this evening, so that that can be communicated to the City Commission at the November work session meeting. But before going into these specific discussion items and handing it, well, I'm going to hand it back over to Christina. And in addition to these discussion items, would love just general feedback and reaction from the board.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you for the presentation. Yes, board discussion.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll jump in there. I'm never afraid to talk, you guys all know. Good work, first of all.
Thank you.
There's a lot in here. I haven't had the chance to review every page, but I've started on it, and I think the one fear I have is that, and you maybe address some of this, is that some of the criteria are such that I think we're gonna disincentivize. That's my fear. I don't know where that balance is, but right now it feels like it's maybe too far to disincentivizing with some of the criteria required.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it takes a lot of modification, but I think there's some maybe we need to look at. It's hard enough to make one of these projects pencil the way it is. And if we add too much, I'm afraid we're gonna have people just go, I'm not gonna work in Lawrence, I'm gonna work in Eudora.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one probably big caution I get from this, and I think that's a matter of having the time to go through this page by page and criteria by criteria and go, is this one too far left or too far right, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even engage some people that do this work. You know, I mean, I know Tony's involved. He's already provided comment back on some things, whether you agree that or not, you know. I do like the idea of the 50-year affordability. I do like that idea. I think we should be pushing for that, or I've always been an advocate for pushing for permanent affordability, and I realize that is a tough deal, but we need to push further than the LIHTC, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, like you said, the data shows it won't have a significant impact on the applications we get, so. Those are my just really overall comments.
Is it okay if I provide one point?
Oh, absolutely.
In addition to the community forum where our LIHTC development partners did come to that and provide feedback at the community forum, I also met with the nonprofit affordable housing developers, and we looked through it like section by section. So Lawrence Douglas County Housing Authority, Habitat for Humanity, and Tenants to Homeowners. And they helped to inform the draft and didn't have concerns about, the only concern is reflected in written comment by Tony regarding the period of affordability and the loans as opposed to the grants. Yeah.
Can I?
I'm glad we got that view. I mean, I'm the one that doesn't know where the point is.
Yeah, I would like to, because I think that might be the point of contention, maybe that you're, I think because we have research that shows that that has not affected
Right.
permanent affordability, I also want to underscore the amount of funding we have in our housing trust fund. This year will be 1.2 million, which we have had discussions for years and years as it has decreased. One time it increased, and that was cool. That is not enough to fund the particular projects that I think maybe some private developers are having some heartburn over this. But what we have seen with development that has been affordable in perpetuity, we can look at the report that was the update that was given to us in our agenda that we probably will see an agenda item coming up, that those units are being built and that those nonprofits and those organizations have a dedication to affordability in perpetuity.
Right.
And because we have limited resources, it would be a pretty wild claim to me to say, not to quote, that this would destroy the affordable housing market. I think there are so many other instances, namely what the state of Kansas is doing, that would far exceed the damage that we're seeing to potentially affordable housing through that particular avenue, which will affect for-profit and nonprofit development severely. But I really think that we have to consider that we are not working with a large fund, and also I think looking at the dashboard and seeing where we have invested our funding and have promoted projects, we have really driven into the 30-year affordability. What we're not seeing is affordability in perpetuity. What affordability in perpetuity does is it prevents displacement. It helps create generational wealth for homeowners. It is a tool that can help actually bring and sustain affordability in our community. And I think that while that growing pain may feel hard to perhaps developers who are more used to, and understandably trying to work within the field that they're in, I think we have an opportunity to take tax-paying dollars that we said are for affordable housing and actually put that into affordable housing that will stay that way and will not go to market. So I am a strong proponent for the 50-year is still there as an option. So we're not eliminating the possibility of working in affordable housing. I think the loan conversation will be one that could help us also, but I just want to say, I think trying to go for what communities have shown is beneficial to everyone and sustainable is why I think this board exists. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to also, before reading public comment, I also had similar views for the need for updated housing market analysis. I mean, for me, I mean, that's also a community need, but the last comprehensive study was done in 2018, and we've been talking about what that study would look like in 2025 and in 2026 and thinking about what that looks like too. So for me, I think we've got a lot of great supportive documents and reports that can help us make really great decisions and put things forward. We've got the Douglas County Supportive Needs Assessment, Housing Needs Assessment in 2022, the Douglas County Market Study Analysis in 2025, Douglas County Tenant Experience Report in 2024. That gives us an understanding of the impact of affordable housing and an understanding of what community needs are. But an updated housing market analysis is crucial because it provides data necessary to understand local market conditions and measure policy effectiveness. And so I really look forward to that market analysis. I really look forward to that data and will help influence the policies that we're trying to promote here while also understanding the need for the policy enforcement today, right? So, yeah.
We're signing agreements with the consultants, like in process. So that should be starting soon. Yeah.
And while I agree we do need that housing market analysis, and I look forward to seeing how that plays out, if we could look at a national trend as a group and just say the likelihood of the need for affordable, sustainable housing not being a thing and not being more severe than a pre-pandemic study, the likelihood of that is going, I'm not a betting person, but I would put all my money into saying that there's
It's just
no
worse.
question. So,
It's just worse.
yeah. And I think while I do want that so it can help inform how we prioritize projects and how we really think about who will be coming in both avenues, potentially the lending portion and the grant portion, I truly believe the need for the incentive policy to reflect our goals moving forward is truly important. And I think that general summary of that housing study is going to show us this is a pretty, to me, important direction to start moving. But I do appreciate that need for data to back up what we're talking about.
I mean, we ensure developer projects align with the actual needs of local single-family home renters, owners, and so we can have those conversations because it prevents the misallocation of public funds to projects that are poorly suited for the promotion of equitable housing access. So, yeah, that to look at that study in other places and to have that as a review, I think, is a more of a conversation. It sounds like we're doing that work and ink is not dry yet. But yeah, more money, more data. Are there any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, lots, but I also been talking a lot, so please.
Question. On the loan program, you're thinking of loaning money out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Are you aware of any communities that use a bank to actually make the loans, and then the trust fund actually just guarantees the loan?
Oh,
And you could then, I mean, if you have a real asset, you could then foreclose if you have a problem. You know, if you don't lose the funds, you would end up with, instead of your funds back, you'd end up with an asset.
Right.
So if you thought about that, or you thought about, and I don't know if this exists, but, or if you thought about, you know, if the bank is gonna charge 6%, which is the, you know, rate right now, if you provided 3% of that, you know, somehow, so that the mortgagee saw a 3% interest rate loan instead of a 6%. Just think about different ways of actually not tying up the entire amount of funds.
You could-
but leveraging those funds to get more funds into the building pool.
oh,
Right.
interesting.
Also find a lender, you could also find a lender that might do a participation where you, in fact, you're just an investor.
Right.
And maybe some of the funds could go to buy it down, but you take half the risk, the lender takes the other half. He has the foreclosure privilege rights
In
or
front of
whatever.
you. He
Right.
could be in front of you.
You're an right. Well, a participation, you're even.
Okay.
It's like percentage you put in.
Okay.
If it's 90%, 10, we're still the same loan.
Right. It's just risk.
think
I haven't
we
looked
have
into that,
creative
but-
Yeah,
banking
that's really-
partner in
The chamber's
discussion.
got a loan program for small business. Now, this is a different product, but, so your ideas, what you're kicking around in your head are out there.
And they use a
And-
bank?
And they use a bank to underwrite and, you know, create some structure in this. The stuff isn't free. I don't care what we're trying to do with it. It's not free. So,
The bank will loan money if you reduce the risk.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought. I don't know if that.
That's a really
ties up
good
less funds.
idea.
That's a good
Leverages
suggestion.
the funds you have.
I'll look into that. Thanks, Monty.
So I have a couple more thoughts, primarily the discussion around waivers. And I just want to understand, or maybe put it on, I think I understand, but I also just want it on the record. So these waivers that we provide developers, the funding that we would pay for that, who would that payment go to? Like, who would receive that funding?
The city.
The city. So we would be paying the city out of taxpayer dollars for an affordable housing trust fund back to the city to waive development barriers. Has can I just I'm incredibly alarmed at, and I guess, okay, before I say that, has there been any conversation with those particular departments about those waivers and why that funding essentially would need to be shifted back to the city?
In terms of like MSO system development charges, I am not an expert. We did have a meeting about it, and my understanding is that it's a Kansas state law that we cannot waive system development charges. In terms of like planning and development, building inspection fees, et cetera, that is an ongoing discussion. It would impact those can be waived. Okay. It's, I think, a matter of, that would impact PDS budget, that revenue would not be coming in. And so that would need to ultimately be something that the director would need to agree to have an impact on the PDS budget.
I was having the same thought. Maybe you wouldn't have said it as eloquently.
I tried very hard to be nice about that one.
As I listened to that idea, I almost thought it's almost better to just have the applicant request the funds and then pay the fee.
Yeah.
If they need X funds to do a project and the system development fee is part of it, then
Yeah.
that's part of what it
Yeah.
takes.
Right.
They can get them, they can recover them through a grant for the project. It's just more grant. But it's the same net outcome.
Right.
To the trust fund.
Right.
And essentially, we have been doing that in an offhanded way. I mean,
Right,
the
right.
housing authority, right, we paid
Right,
for,
we extended that water line.
Correct.
For the housing authority.
that
I was
is
gonna
what
say.
their
Which
grant
is
was.
also
Was it 100 or
something
200?
have a heartburn over.
Yeah.
I guess again, I'm seeing trust fund dollars that are low being utilized to pay expenses brought on by our city. And that, to me, again, I mean, this is the barrier in all development that I'm really disheartened about, I guess. And I wonder, since there is discussion, it would be hard for me to say yes to something that is an incentive policy, knowing that could deplete our housing trust fund in order to pay fees that go back to the city. I understand a state statute, and I'm like, if there's nothing we can do about a state statute, I get that. But the other ones, I'm not for decreasing a department's budget, but also knowing we have limited funding concerns me.
And I think that, that is one area that the AHAB could really start to make a difference is being, say aggressive, but, part of, per ordinance, part of the role and duty of the AHAB is not only making recommendations for the use of trust funds, but for the generation of revenue for the trust funds or for affordable housing. And that's something that the AHAB hasn't done to date, but in the future, the AHAB, that could be one of the recommendations coming out of the AHAB to the City Commission is that additional revenue is identified to be put towards the policy. Because, yeah, I agree. I mean, my hope in creating the incentive policy is that it would create additional incentives, not just sort of redistribute.
Right. The last one that I have would be to discuss your recommendation about the prioritization of multi-units versus single-family homes. I think while we are a community that's predominantly renters, and a lot of the projects we see coming from our private development are for those multi-units, there is a desperate need to talk about home ownership. I know we have organizations like our Community Land Trust that is dedicated to homeowners, dedicated to helping people bridge that increasingly inaccessible path to home ownership. So I would love for this board to include that recommendation, to include smaller projects, and to also focus on single-family homes. I think that's
So
a big,
I'm interested in that. I've basically been in the real estate business for too long. What's that look like? Obviously, when you aggregate, you can make a per unit cost much smaller. In a way, we have a project in front of us that kind of does that,
right?
the tiny home project.
Right.
But I'm trying to, go ahead.
I think it comes down to that cost. Subsidy for that kind of product is
Right.
higher.
Right.
And to date, good or bad, the board has basically acted upon what are we getting per our dollar? How many units are we getting? I mean, that has been a major factor, at least in my analysis, as the time. And I stand by that was the right thing to do. But moving forward, we may need to do something different.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think we can see by our dashboard the very, very clear investment that we've made on units on the ground. And I mean, I commend previous board members for doing that. I think that was the need then. I think now, could we look towards, the projects that have been able to do that? I'll again point to the Community Land Trust, who has been able to access other subsidies to build single-family homes and has been quite successful in that work. Now, does that mean less projects? Yes. Does that also mean single-family units and home ownership and permanent affordability? It also means that. Again, we have a small amount of money in this trust, and I think as we also think about some of our work groups that exist that are maybe looking at a different way to start funding and awarding our trust funds, I think it is time to kind of make that shift. But yeah, I think why
don't
not?
we just go back and ask the taxpayers? Let's just be honest with them and say, half cent's not enough. We need it full cent. Because if you do that, then they get to answer the question instead of us going off on a $10 recording fee, or it's taxpayer money we're going after. That's absolutely what we're doing. Why don't we be honest about it and say we don't have enough?
Yeah. Well, and I think, go ahead.
Let the public decide that.
And I think you can see it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Last thing I'll say. I think we can see that there is a public comment in here that does specifically ask, where are the single family homes? Where's the move towards home ownership, from a group of community members who have been participating in this. So I agree. I think we should, ask our community what they think they need and maybe start moving that way. I think that effort has happened too. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay, no worries. And Danny, I see your hand raised, a comment. Yes.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to add a little bit more context to the conversation about the PDS fees. Partially what that is, actually fully what that is that there are certain things in the code that state can be, certain reasons that fees can be waived for PDS. So part of the looking at the PDS fees would look at also a code amendment to add something like the affordable housing incentive. So I just wanted to add a little bit more context to that it's not solely budgetary, but we do have the issue of only certain things per the code right now can be reasons for fee waivers. So just wanted to add that. Sorry, it's a little later than what we were talking about, but just wanted to give that context.
Thank you, Danny.
To get that amended, we would have to work with the.
Well, that'd take 5 years.
I was like, what? That would be.
They're too busy.
Danny, my understanding is that's just the building.
Yeah, that's why I said it's like partially tied into the code.
Yeah.
Is kind of where the challenge lies in there. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's just we want to do this blessed, and there's a all work that needs to be done. So
We have discussed, though, taking amendments forward if the commission approves the policy.
I actually, they're not making money on this deal. It's a classic comment for a city of Lawrence. And they are reimbursing expenses of what they spend. And people have to go inspect and do this and do that. So, we can be as charitable as we want personally, but I do have to respect some of the fact that somebody's got to cover the money. Somebody's got to write your paycheck.
Right.
And the people that do it. So what I think I find in talking to people about this problem is that not everybody shares the passion the $1.2 million worth of passion that we have. And we have a $5 million ask, and we have $1.2 million. And I'm concerned about changing the focus on very much right now because of that very reason. We don't have enough to do. And if we need more money, we should ask the city to respond to that. I still contend that the additional half-cent sales tax that people voted on most recently believed that some of that money was going to this.
Agreed.
I believe it. And that would have doubled our budget.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can get all fired up about the city. It doesn't take much for me, but that doesn't do us any good.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think, we're at a great discussion point to kind of pause and talk about the considering of recommendations. You did say that we have some time in the discussion. It's extended to a later date when the city will open it for a study session. Is that right?
Yeah, so is the board interested in having this on, the next AHAB meeting, regular AHAB meeting, the agenda will be completely full with presentations by applicants. We have a special meeting after that was called specifically to discuss the trust fund applications. If the board is interested, we could put this on the agenda, and that would still provide time for this board to make recommendations prior to the city commission meeting, but that would be the last meeting before it goes to city commission.
What date is that meeting? I'm paranoid about
16th.
October.
now that we're down to 5 or 6.
October 23rd.
I think
68 at the Lawrence Public Library.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't even at the library.
I'm there.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that something you all?
Question.
Yeah.
You got that taken care of. So just for instance, if I
Group that kind of made some of those recommendations. I know we kind of moved between a lot of different standards. I found that really helpful to help give us, I guess, the reality of what it would look like to implement accessibility standards, which ones might be contradictory, which ones may not be accomplishing what we want. So I wonder if taking some time with that particular public comment, not now, but just taking that into consideration as you're making your recommendations. And if, would the move be to, because it's written as a draft, can it be edited? I guess that's.
Yeah, I know it's there. That particular public comment, he made several recommendations that I absolutely want to integrate. That being one of them, I thought that was really helpful. And there's some additional public comment that's been made that, I think need to be integrated into the final draft. I was going to present to the commission the draft that has already been shared, and then just sort of indicate what changes I'd like to make to the final draft, and then make those changes when taken for approval. That's sort of what staff has discussed, and so that there's consistency in what the commission sees and what the public has seen so far. But I don't know if you all have ideas about that. I mean, it could start, a working draft with those changes that the AHAB could review, or, because, absolutely, public comment has been really helpful.
Yeah. I would potentially propose that would be helpful for us too, just for ease of discussion, to see some just changes in that draft, so we're not having to go back and forth.
Okay, I can do that.
in that same comment, I had a concern with the comment about requiring rehab versus
Yeah.
demolition.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm not sure that gets to affordability. When you talk to Rebecca, she would say it costs me more to rehabilitate and own
Right.
an older house than to build a new one. So I don't think we want to mix
The historic resources.
Yeah.
ideas
Yeah.
with affordability.
Yeah.
If affordability is our mission.
I definitely had concerns with
Yeah.
that one. I was confused a little bit by it because, and I think maybe some of that suggestion, I don't want to speak for that group. I'm not involved with them, but I think there may be some historic conversations around maybe some other projects that are happening in this community and their which is absolutely valid. And I think, yeah, when you start tearing down buildings that have meaning to people, yeah. But I also I think of like legacy of a policy and putting something that would, like if you have a dilapidated home and you now can have that land to build a home, and we say, right, or 3 homes, and we say you cannot tear down the structure that is already decaying in policy, that leaves room for a lot of inability to use the land that we need to. And I understand infill is like a word that scares people, but
Historic resource
right,
commission can be involved.
exactly,
And that's their goal.
yeah.
You know?
But
Yeah.
there's preservationists that don't want like-kind materials used on rehab. They want you to go get the old siding.
Yeah.
So that's not our job either.
No. Yeah, I would caution against putting that particular, but I'm happy, again, I think this particular group had some amazing comments. I admire, and I'm sure they'll public comment, but I admire like just the amount of involvement that they want to have with this process. To me, I'm like, hell yeah. But yeah, I think there may be some things that might be bleeding into other conversations that outside of affordability, I'm like, yeah, that is interesting that is the movement, but that is not what a $1.2 million trust fund is going to put as a barrier when we also have other groups that can intervene in that conversation.
Didn't read all the applications in detail, but do they tell us in every application the entire investment that's being made?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like for us to consider the recommendations and then talk about it in our, we talked about putting it into our agenda for a later date. For which meeting?
October 23rd.
October 23rd. And so bringing that back to the board means what in that conversation? Do we do some scaffolding down on the policy, bring all those ideas back, or is it like Monty has suggested that we just email all of those edits or things to
Both,
you?
yeah.
A little bit of both would work.
Yeah, if you, so what I'm hearing is that it would be helpful for the AHAB if I start doing a draft of working changes based on feedback received so far that I'd like to integrate. I can share that with the AHAB. If you are able to go through the policy and send me, using track changes or however you want to send me your comments, that would be helpful. I can integrate those ahead of the meeting when appropriate. And then otherwise, just making note of things that you'd like to discuss. And I would suggest that we bring back and get some really clear recommendations from the board regarding these and the other questions that I'd ask.
Yeah, slide 16 and 17.
Yeah.
I'll review those. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see that Gilal's hand is raised, but I also recognize we're going to be going into our other agenda items, and I'm curious about just kind of holding on to those public comments until then.
It's up to you.
Yeah,
Up to
okay.
you.
Let's go ahead and, yes, public comment, I really want to include that, and we also want to get through this agenda. So thank you for your interest, and we'll get to that. But next item agenda, and thank you for the discussion too. Sounds like there's some really good considerations or recommendations for our next meeting.
Thanks, Joe.
We never lack for discussion.
Don't.
Love to, yeah.
I enjoy it. So our agenda item is still under item D, to receive, review, and discuss Affordable Housing Trust Fund 2025 mid-year reports. There is an action included in this to receive and review Affordable Housing Trust Fund reports from the mid-year, provide feedback to grantees and staff as appropriate, but no formal action is needed. So it's action with no formal action.
Right, no
Okay.
problem. Yeah.
Okay.
You just want our comments,
I-
comments on how we feel about how we
Besides when it starts.
Monty.
A report, we were going to get some kind of presentation, but that was just what I was thinking too. I'm always, or also kind of action, no action, kind of still sitting with that. But are there any comments on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund mid-year reports from 2025 from the board?
Go ahead.
I know development is, Monty, so good. I know development is slow, but we seem to be, in some of these projects, dragging slow in getting units on the ground, and that concerns me, and I'm assuming, I mean, we don't see the city contracts, I'm assuming we have some end dates, if you don't spend it by this amount of money, we reevaluate or pull back or whatever. Okay.
What is that time frame?
It's different for the different projects. There are some projects that are coming up on the clawback period date in the next year. So none in 2025, but there are some towards the end of 2026, including the Burton Ash permanent supportive housing project, DECA. Although DECA has already making progress in a couple TTH projects. The floor, yeah.
Comment on this was, if in the report, if they were to have to predict when they'll have the units open, that would be helpful. So,
Okay.
if Burton Ash said, we plan to open units in spring of 26, that would give me some sense that they are actually, where they actually are.
No,
on that
we're,
spectrum.
specifically, where are those units you're talking about?
Yeah, do they even have a place for them?
Is this, which piece of land do they own, that they own? Is
Is it
it,
helpful to go through a review of each of the reports individually, or is it helpful just to kind of do it as a
Yeah, there's a
overall
lot.
review?
I think I just have a couple questions on a few kind of what
yeah, I
you're
mean,
pointing to.
which piece of ground? Is it the one where they're redoing?
It's a Rockledge.
Oh, my Lord. It's growing. Weeds. I mean,
Yeah, they haven't broken. There's
No.
Burton Ash is still looking for additional revenue.
yeah, they have to raise money, and they obviously have a budgeting crisis.
Yes.
So that's, I don't know what the dates are, but that is very likely to come back to us.
Is there any way to make recommendations to partner with? Because I'm in agreement here. Like we have, while there is a $6 million application through HUD COC funds, we also know what's happening with HUD COC funds and the requirement to use, okay, for those who don't know, HUD is requiring COC funding to be in alignment with the administration's policy around criminalizing homelessness and is favoring particular funding for
I get it.
groups who do that. So I could see Lawrence not receiving particular funding. I know that's no fault of Burton Ash, but I am concerned that we have a $500,000 award and that's not working. And permanent supportive housing is so incredibly important and we need it. We don't have that type of housing model in our community. But my question is, are these folks the stewards of that funding? Are these the folks that can build housing, or is there a partner or somebody we can encourage?
Well, they worked with the county on, near the trauma center.
Right.
Got that.
Yeah, I think at the time it was awarded, they were our best option.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
We might be in a different place right now.
Yeah.
The county, the county also has money in this project has recommended that Burton Ash partner with an affordable housing developer.
Okay.
My understanding is right now Burton Ash is not interested in doing so, and was really hoping that the COC funds would come and that would get them across the finish line. Doubtful that that's going to happen at this point. So I mean, the AHAB could certainly make recommendations to the city commission around, what.
It would be important to know when their clawback time is. I mean, if it's in the next 6 months to a year, you might not.
Yeah, they should have this funding awarded according to this. End of August is when HUD puts out that report. So I guess I'm interested to hear an update, and if not,
Yeah.
I would be in agreement with the county that they need an affordable housing developer partner.
Okay, that might be something that we need to bring
I don't
back
know
on
what
the
that
agenda
means.
to have a conversation about.
An affordable housing partner doesn't,
Somebody that normally delivers this kind of, in my eyes, somebody that normally delivers this kind of product.
but they can't afford it
Can,
right now. I mean,
that can bring the other resources to you.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, we want the same thing. We'd like a report back on what's up, where this is likely to go, and what their plan is. And I don't know what our date is, and I'm not ready to pull it now. I don't mean that at all. I'm just, when I came on the board, we had some of that going on, and some stuff came back, and I can't remember. There was one year we had quite a bit of money to deal with. It wasn't just a great tax year.
Right.
Yeah, we had COVID money.
Developers said they couldn't execute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
185,000?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
We were just like,
So we would get those funds back into the trust.
push those back into the community.
I mean, that's the last thing I want to
What
do,
else
but.
is on there that we have doubts about, or lagging?
I don't know if I have doubts. I'm the 9 Dell lofts too. I was wondering if there was a little bit more of a progress update than the project remains in design phase. We award this particular group quite often.
Yeah, and I mean, as you know, we're the AHAB has another request for this project in for this
it.
year for 9 Dell Lofts too. So
Right.
Well, that
we
was
might be in the same. Yeah,
that
would
was
be
the one we awarded the most last year. So I guess I just want to highlight that.
Floret Hill also has an additional request for funding this year. They were awarded the 1.3. They're still looking for additional revenue.
They're
Well, then,
LATEC.
my question to them would be, does that finish it? In other words, because it kind of gets back to my first question. What's the budget? What's this going to cost? And I want the truth. And tell me, are we 10% of it, 2% of it? Are we 28% of it?
Agreed.
I want to know how important our dollars are. And if we can get them home, and it's any of those percentages, let's go.
Right.
If we can't, then we'll do something else.
Those would be great questions to ask when the applicants come for the presentations. And if the board would like to have any of their grantees come and, respond to questions around
Absolutely.
progress.
Agreed.
I was just going to ask, what does the action look like? Action, no action, but it looks like we just kind of bring that into an agenda item for next discussion, and then also consider those questions to the applicants when we have the presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they're, some of these projects are coming back, and you'll hear from them in October. Some, like Burton Ash, isn't requesting additional funds. So if you'd like to have Burton Ash come and respond to any
I don't think they
questions.
need to come. We
Okay.
just need an update.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Right.
They've got enough going on.
My other one was specifically with the Tenants to Homeowners ARM project. I guess just seeing progress to date, that a
Where's
lot
that?
of this rehab, it's those that like looking at vacant structures and seeing if they can bring them into a livable unit. I guess I'm curious.
They're waiting for somebody to walk in the door with one. They are.
Yeah, and I see that they've been looking at several, and I don't think that they're asking for funding this year. I'm just,
What-
is this program
Yeah, so I think when they submitted the mid-year report, I believe they were going to come back and ask the AHAB to put the funds awarded to a different project, but since then, they have identified some units
Okay.
where they can make Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay,
we should
great.
see an update
Where are
on
we on
Q3.
9th in Kentucky? The church?
They had broke ground.
Broke ground,
Yeah.
yeah.
It did?
They have their permitting and entitlement. Yeah.
Okay.
They're moving.
Yeah.
I kept driving by there going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I had.
Is that all from the board? Any comments additionally? Okay, thank you. All right, so the action, no action, is to just bring that to the next conversation. Going on to our agenda item number 3, consider reassigning the Revenue and Subcommittee to work the full board. Discuss staff recommendations to dissolve the Revenue Subcommittee and have revenue-related work addressed by the full board during regular meetings, maximizing efficiency and ensuring broader conversation and participation by the board.
Do you want me to talk about this? You could.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and, because, this was a one meeting subcommittee that we have, and we'll also update later on in this agenda given time. But the consideration of the reconsideration of considering, I wrote down some notes. Because I think this motion to dissolve the Revenue Subcommittee and reassign revenue-related work to the full board is something I support. The committal of delegating the work of the Revenue Subcommittee should be considered for the Incentive Policy Review Subcommittee, and all work should be reassigned to the full board. And also, an increase of meeting frequency is recommended to facilitate that deeper discussion. I know Monty and myself and Mark met at board as being the chair of that board, and trying to make sure we still had those deeper discussions in a larger group.
so you want action before public comment? Because I'll move we dissolve the committee and I'll make a motion.
Yes, if there's no more conversation on the topic.
Oh, you're not going to like me in a couple agenda items, so go ahead.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and make that motion. If there's no further conversation or nobody wants to give a different of opinion on the action, do I have a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
So
I think
moved.
you have to kind of make a motion, or it's,
A formal motion.
That
formal.
we disband the committee and do our work through the entire board.
do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So I have lost my page, but scrolling down to the members here, I'll run the recent meetings.
Oh.
I'll have to pull up, there we go.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. So going through the committee members for the vote for the action, Mark Bueller.
Aye.
Andrew Delacour's not here. Marielle Fierro.
Aye.
Christina Gentry, aye. Elizabeth O'Neill. Donovan Dillon.
Aye.
Thank you. Monty Soka.
Aye.
Okay, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a proponent to dissolve the committee. Thank you all. Okay, moving forward, there is there is number 4 to consider and discuss proposed 2026 Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting schedule. The staff recommend moving the regular board meetings to a monthly schedule, and I want to give time for Leah to give a further explanation about this. This was a discussion, and I feel like there's more words that you can say about the decision than this that I can.
Well, just in brief, I think that having regular monthly meetings is beneficial, particularly if we're going to be bringing the work of the Revenue Subcommittee to allow, essentially half of the year will be dedicated for the AHAB to do the trust fund related work. It takes up a lot of time, half of the year. And then the other time we can have regular meetings, more ongoing participation and consistency to do the work related to revenue, policy work, et cetera. So my recommendation is that we have monthly meetings from 5:30 to 7:30 from January to November and take a break in December, which we've done for the last couple years. But we could go ahead and schedule them 12 months if that works better for the board as well.
I'm a proponent of this. I mean, the last time we looked back into our roll call was in May.
Yeah.
And so I think, broader, deeper, more frequent meetings makes sense for me. Making every second Thursday of each month, I'll have to look at my calendar, but I think that's probably doable.
Can I ask why we moved it up 30 minutes?
I guess I'm just thinking about the time getting dark. Oh, okay. But no, it's not critical.
Okay, I
If
was
the
like-
board prefers to
Is 6
keep it-
important to you?
Not particular. I was just wondering if it was
It was
something
pretty
that we needed.
arbitrary, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool with that.
Then you'd be okay with 5:30 too,
Future
right?
me potentially is okay with 5:30.
Yeah, if it's a little warmer and got a little bit of something on the February, November month, considering this board still has these members, right? Because it's 2026 into that
Are you looking
space.
for a motion?
Yes, I'm looking for a motion. Yes, please.
I move that we accept staff's recommendation to have monthly meetings at the proposed scheduled time.
Second.
Second.
Motion is first and seconded. I feel like this is going to be a really good ballpark one out. Again, going through the list of members because we are official.
Yes.
Mark Bueller,
Aye.
Andrew Gallagher is not here. Marielle Fierro,
Aye.
Christina Gentry, aye. Elizabeth O'Neill, Donovan Dillon,
Aye.
thank you, Donovan. Monty Soko.
Aye.
Okay, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, again, 5 in favor of this action. It is so moved. Thank you all. Moving on, we're making great progress. Number 5 of the agenda item is to receive training from staff on reviewing, evaluating, and making recommendations for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Awards. The action is to receive training and discuss as appropriate. Again, no formal actions required.
Thank you, Christina. I will, everybody has been through this at least once, so I'll try and make this brief and focus on, just try and keep the focus on some, the timeline and some additional new information. So in terms of the timeline, let's see if we can show this whole thing and share screen. Is my share screen? Yes, it's being shared. Okay. So the AHAB will receive all the the AHAB has received the applications are on the agenda. The AHAB will receive the key project elements chart and the scoring matrix by October 1st, a week prior to the special meeting for applicant presentations. But of course, you are welcome and encouraged to begin reviewing the applications today so that you'll be prepared for those applicant presentations on October. By October 9th, please carefully read every application and come prepared with questions for the applicants. You will not need to start scoring until after that point. The main objective of the first read is to just understand the project. The special meeting on October 23rd will be the board's opportunity to more thoroughly discuss all of the projects. Each member of the AHAB must submit their individual application scores and funding recommendations to me via email no later than November 3rd. The cumulative recommendations will be included on the November agenda packet and used for discussion to make funding recommendations. The board will make final recommendations on your November 13th meeting, and with the plan for that to be on the commission agenda for consideration of approval on December 2nd, and then the agreements will be sent and the grant year begins in January. So that is the timeline. Boop. Skip this slide. So purpose. The purpose of the trust fund per ordinance 9984 is as follows: to support the acquisition, rehabilitation, and development of affordable housing and supportive services to all persons. have access to independent living with dignity. Did want to just discuss this for a moment. So in 2024, the voters passed the Affordable Housing and Emergency Shelter Services Sales Tax, which you all brought up earlier. This was an update to the affordable sales tax that was passed in 2017. The sales tax was doubled, with half going to affordable housing and half going to homelessness, as Mark mentioned. The city provided the following types and examples of programs and services that would be provided through the sales tax to the voters and public education materials. While not an exhaustive or exclusive list, a few points are worth highlighting. One, there is now a dedicated revenue stream for homelessness services from city sales tax, which, in addition to the special alcohol fund, provides resources to homelessness prevention, outreach, and programs. Their purpose for the half for affordable housing is to increase and improve affordable housing. It's important for the board to be good stewards of public funds, consistent with the intents and purposes of the sales taxes communicated to the people of Lawrence. They have made concessions to support emergency services and homelessness during the pandemic, and although it has been discussed that these services may not be in alignment with the purpose of the trust fund, the AHAB has continued to invest funds that could be used to increase affordable housing and put into emergency services. Staff advises the board to make recommendations for the use of trust funds that are consistent with the purpose of the fund as codified by the city and approved by the voters. The trust fund awards should be consistent with the following goals that the AHAB set: increasing the supply of permanently affordable home ownership, increasing the supply of affordable rentals, increasing the accessibility of affordable housing for people with disabilities, improving the condition of homes, providing more permanent and supportive housing options for residents in unstable housing conditions, increasing racial equity in affordable housing, and increasing community awareness. This chart shows the numbers for the AHAB versus actuals. So this is, you can also look at these numbers on the dashboard. I struggled with how to show this data for full transparency and accurately because the AHAB has set 5-year goals and we have completed the first 5 years. It wouldn't have been completely accurate to show just the last 2 years as that would appear we have made no progress on things like home ownership. But my hope is that this graph gives a good idea of the progress that we've made to date, as well as where we are with achieving goals for 2024 to 2029. So you can, again, use that data to inform your decisions regarding investments for 2026. That's all I'm not gonna go into more detail in the interest of time, but happy to take any questions. Eligible projects for the trust fund are as follows and are consistent with AHAB goals. You will use the evaluation matrix that I send you all to evaluate, score, and prioritize projects. Prioritization should be made based on the following criteria. Listing evaluation criteria for all projects, which you all can review. It's consistent with previous years. And then when you do start scoring the applications, you'll just want to first orient yourself to the project, then score reading more carefully and scoring each application and providing comments when necessary and appropriate. Provide individual award recommendations and enter a note again when appropriate. And then after you've made your recommendations, review and adjust as needed so that you're each submitting a balanced budget. As Mark mentioned, we have almost $5 million in requests and $1.2 million to awards. So each of you are tasked with making recommendations for no more than $1.2 million. And then submit, save your spreadsheet and submit to me via email by November 3rd. Reminder to use standard criteria, use information, not assumptions when evaluating and scoring, avoid interjecting your personal bias, and use community goals for prioritization rather than your personal I don't believe that we have any conflict of interest on the board this year, which is great, correct?
Yeah.
Yay.
What would you say?
We don't have conflict of interest on the board this year with the trust fund, so.
Not there?
Nope.
Where are you?
Oh, well, I know, I was sat on their board. I didn't work there, yeah, but I am off there.
This is
New. I was a long time ago. Yeah,
I'm not
Yeah.
wrong, I'm just not up to date.
yeah.
Is it the first year that we don't have to recuse
Yes,
anyone?
yes.
That's awesome.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very high-level overview but you all have done it before. You can use this presentation. When I send you the scoring matrix, I will send you a procedure outline that you can reference, and of course, reach out to me with any questions. I guess one person has not done it before, but you've been involved very closely, so yeah.
Glad for it.
Any questions?
You probably did it, just didn't turn it in.
I sure did. I was just mouthing it quietly. Being like,
I we started making those policy changes shortly thereafter.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting. Looking forward to all of the presentations and all the applications. Moving down our agenda, if there's no additional comment, thank you, Leah. We've got agenda item number 4. What letter are we on?
we're on 6.
What
6.
letter are we on? I don't know if it matters. but I'm
We have
trying
the application.
Yeah.
to- Number 6.
D6?
D, number.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Sorry. No, you're good.
That's okay. Receive 2026 Affordable Housing Trust Fund applications.
We got them.
We've got all of those. Do we need to go down the list and talk about any of those, or are we just gonna recognize them, please review them, we can start reviewing them immediately, and then provide some additional comments when we meet again, and we'll go from there. Any questions or comments on that item? Okay. No actions needed. Okay, we are down to committee updates in section E. Number 1, Affordable Housing Revenue Subcommittee.
We got fired. That's all.
That's our agenda update. If we did want to talk maybe about the little bit of time we had when we had these great resources, and maybe bringing those into what could be a larger discussion at some other time. But thank you, Leah, for sharing and steering us in the direction of collaborative. We'll have those conversations in a larger group meeting. I don't have any additional updates for the Affordable Housing Revenue Subcommittee. Okay, seeing none from the other members of the subcommittee, moving on to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Subcommittee. Any updates?
Okay, well, so we did have a meeting on August 15th. There were 2 members at the meeting. We essentially went through kind of the purpose and the goals of our subcommittee, and then talked about a work plan of how we would like to review how other trust fund committees, boards utilize their affordable housing trust fund, and then begin that process. I'll pause there because we are at a point where 2 people cannot effectively work on this working board, on this subcommittee. So I think my request to the rest of the board is I'd love to consider continuing the subcommittee. We would just need commitments to that subcommittee beyond Elizabeth and I and Monty. I don't know, Monty too. So I guess willing to reassess. I think Elizabeth and I are both pretty committed to continuing the work, but would love at least one more person.
Well, why don't we see what we get as the other board? I mean, we have 6 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I guess with my, with the dissolving of one subcommittee, I maybe thought there might be some appetite to, because then that would mean we would dissolve this one and then y'all would have to do the work anyway. So
we're going to have to do the work.
and that's also an option. We could dissolve the committee, dissolve all of our subcommittees due to just the constraints of having only 6 people right now. I'm not opposed to that. Of course, Elizabeth can't speak because
I am
she's not here.
always
But
interested as to the subject matter of the committee. I'm always interested in where we go when we find all these communities that are doing this or that. I'm just skeptical enough that that certain communities, we all have reputations. Certain communities have certain reputations, so you can probably go anywhere and get the answers you want based on how you feel for what ought to be done with $1. And so one of my concerns is I don't mind finding out what other AHABs do, but I would like to know from where they come and not all of them.
Yep.
A good old Kansas town would be okay to find out too. We don't have to go all over the country and find communities that look at a lot of things different. I don't know why we would compare ourselves to Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
It is so complex.
I would say if you look at the meeting minutes, we do have examples of different communities already that we're starting to review. I do think it's in the best interest of this board to look at communities that are our size, that have similar function process. That is, I think, probably a best practice regardless. We're obviously not going to look at Los Angeles and say we should do things just like Los Angeles because they can't reflect the size and capacity we have. So there were definitely some research put into which particular RFPs we wanted to look at.
I'm not challenging what you did. I haven't even read who they are, but I'm circumspect if they're communities that tend to have a reputation for spending more tax money, doing more things for more people, more times.
Would you like to consider being on the subcommittee?
Yeah. No. Okay. Okay.
Just making sure, because I know that Muriel had asked maybe as a soft ask.
I can probably be on this.
Okay. Not on the other one? Okay. Well, I think, yeah.
And I think, to your point, I think it's good to go out and see what's being done. It's our job to then figure out what we can implement in this community.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what our job is.
Yeah.
Really.
Is how can it work here?
How can it, will.
Yeah.
Is it applicable, all those things.
I don't think there was ever an intention just to copy and paste something that would be, quite frankly, lazy. So, yeah, I appreciate the remark and the reminder to implement things in ways that make sense for our community. This was a thing that was agreed upon by the entire board to look into, so I want to continue doing that.
I think we have a comment from Donovan.
Hi, sorry, there's a bit of a lag. I would be interested in helping out, my only question being the meeting schedule for that subcommittee.
Yes. So we did set a meeting schedule. We did since cancel the next meeting that we were going to have because we just didn't have enough folks. I think what we could potentially do is maybe kind of start from the beginning as far as scheduling again and just email the folks who are interested and figure out times that work for you all, because we certainly don't want to adhere to a schedule that, you didn't have any part in identifying availability. So if that feels good, I think we could do that.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Donovan.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the future agenda items. Number 1, review list of city-owned lots as potential sites for affordable housing development. So we don't really need to talk through these agenda items. These will be next meeting conversations.
Future meeting.
Meeting conversations. So looking forward to the January or February presentation by a former AHAB board member, Dr. Han, and her students from KU on the housing market study analysis presentation. That should be good. And then also identifying additional revenue scores for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So those are future items to look forward to. Looks like we've got,
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, I think this city lot discussion is important, and it can't happen soon enough.
Okay.
They've been there forever, and my guess is we're getting from the city crickets because they don't want to mess with it. And I don't know who they is. Not everything is the perusal of the city commission. I'm not gonna go lobby commissioners because I want, but they have over however many, it's finite. They could help our housing problem pretty well. You know, if they were magnanimous enough to contribute a lot, someone could run a loan program and get somebody in a house that can't get there right now.
Yes.
A piece of ground's worth $50,000.
Yep.
And if you can find a way to build a $150,000 structure that can house them and keep them safe and maybe park a car, I'm in. And I'll fund that, or I'll help, you know, I'll,
They'll figure out.
Yeah.
yeah, the realtors would go crazy for that.
I will say that was in the interest of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee to do that, so.
Well, but this is just like completely obvious, sitting on the table.
Yeah.
Made a
Nobody's-
couple runs at this and not been successful, so we need,
Who'd you speak to? Did you go to commissioners?
I went to the highest level of administrative people in
Oh,
this
okay.
organization.
Okay.
well, thank you for that.
Then we need to count to three, don't we?
We've got quite a few things to look forward to our calendar events. All of those are noted, and we also reference them as the dates and due dates for things to look forward to as well.
Christina, is it okay if I just circle back on that one really
Oh,
quick?
absolutely.
Then is the board interested in visiting that conversation before the year's end? Okay,
I personally am, but
okay,
I am.
I know we're busy.
okay.
I will say that several of the people that we spoke with last time are no longer here,
Got it.
so some different administration.
I got it.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
No, thank you, thank you. Wanting to leave and make sure and ensure that there is time for public comment. So if there's no additional discussion on the agenda items, we'll move to item H, receive public comment. Is there any public comment in the building? Yes, please.
Sat through the whole meeting, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Sturdivant. I'm here on behalf of Family Promise of Lawrence. I'm on their board, and I'm here mostly tonight to listen and just to hear what's happening, and I'm excited to hear about a lot that's happening. I'm excited to hear about the priorities that you all are setting. In terms of Family Promise, we are looking at some of the same things you are. We want to talk about permanent affordability. That's an important priority for us. We want to talk about serving folks at or below 50 AMI, 50% AMI. I think that's where we live at Family Promise. That's where most of our folks are, and that's really the priority that we set. I'm excited about hearing how we might build bigger units, bigger houses, 3-bedroom or more. I mean, these are very rare in Lawrence, and we have families consistently that we just can't house because we don't have enough units for it. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about your creativity to talk about not just grants but loans, to talk about single-family homes in addition to renter bigger apartments and bigger units. All of that is exciting to me. I'm excited to hear all these things. And I also just want to say thank you. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for your work. I know you have some marathon meetings coming up soon, and so you're in my thoughts as you do some good work doing that. And I know you have some difficult days ahead as federal dollars and state dollars are drying up, and that puts pressure back on you all. So I just wanted to say that we're thankful for what you're doing, and want to remind you that we're appreciative. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I comment on
Absolutely. Can you comment on the comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
I always look
Sure.
at Matt.
3 minutes, Monty.
If you aren't aware, Matt was the chair of this committee
Ah,
when it began, and did some great foundational work
okay.
as part of the Justice Matters team and other things, but to help really establish the trust fund and get the ballot measure passed and all that. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
An incredible advocate and leader in this area early on. And I'm excited about the Family Promise project. I mean, I distinctly remember in their interview, they had double the request and they had never executed a project, never tried anything like this. And I think we said, we're gonna fund half of your project, and if you do a good job, you're gonna be one of our team members. So I'm excited to see them be successful. They have so far done a fantastic job and have really made strong progress. I mean, it's been slow, you know, it's a struggle, but they're doing great work over there. I went to the groundbreaking for them, and anyway, it's a great organization and one we need to support. So
Agreed.
thank you for serving on their board.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's cool. Public comment's cool.
Yeah, we also take less cool public comment.
Yeah, we'll take
He
it
asked
off.
you to come.
Is there any additional public comment? Seeing no more in the room, is there any online?
Affordability. I think this draft holds us accountable to permanent housing stock, protects public investments, and truly serves our most vulnerable neighbors. If we want to prioritize housing that sustains communities, supports families, and doesn't flip back into unaffordability, this is the way forward. My statement doesn't dismiss the importance of other projects in our community, but it does speak to where our priorities should be when we have a choice and direction in the way we want to head forward. So I appreciate all the work you all do. Always follow it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any additional comments? Or are there any additional comments on Zoom? Okay, seeing none, I feel like we are at a good place to move to adjourn. We had a really great conversation, y'all. Thank you very much. We will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Made it underneath 8 bears. I know.
I have to start drinking coffee after 5 p.m.
And
But no, I won't.
but I won't.